Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of DATI Civic and Peace Education Audio Visual Series. Today, we are on episode 7, Introduction to Liberian Democracy and Governance System and Structure, Part 1. But what is very important about this series is that we have a distinguished guest with us today, in the person of Elder Onesimus G.S. Gaiman, who is a renowned Liberian Bassa vernacular commentator. He once worked with the ELWA radio station as a Bassa commentator. And today, we have him with us to do the interpretation of our presentation in the Bassa language. Also, just to put things into historical perspective, as you know, at the founding of the Republic of Liberia, there were 3 original counties: Montserrado County, Grand Bassa County, and Sano County. So Mr. Gaiman comes from Grand Bassa County, which was one of the 3 original counties during the independence, at the Declaration of Independence of the Republic of Liberia. So we want to welcome him to this program, but I will welcome him formally in the Bassa vernacular. Onesimus, great,
Mwene baba.
I wanted y'all boy.
Yo, won't book the bus woman.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the program. And your participation is highly appreciated because it will give us an opportunity to deliver this important message about the introduction to Liberian democracy and governance system and structure to, hundreds of thousands of Bassa citizens at home and abroad. So welcome once again.
It's Wobamba.
Okay. At the end of last week's lecture on instilling discipline and love of country in Liberian youth, I concluded my discussion on government's role in disciplining and loving or caring for its citizens. In this light, I likened government to the parents of a home, the citizens being the children of the home, the nation's president, the father of the home, and Liberia as the home. Hence, whereas in the home, the father and mother take responsibility to care for the children and to discipline them so that they may not go astray. In the same manner, the government headed by the president of the nation is responsible to take care of its citizens, to provide their needs, and to ensure their safety, permanency, and well-being.
Ba Dr. Joseph Babala, wiki si adie de be sanguinde fulu amwemo kabe broma la bira broke and you come na bleka you broke on ini the point ye wenga ga be ke ta kon ke de ta ke mwen ga ke mon tu yetuo comme de nyon senyon ke oma ofweni amo bloba ya ke son kriteño ni jinde bloba son kriteño mwen ni mo yan bloju ya ke ofwen ga ke ma ke wajue o de man do mu imbo ki sia dia ke kare na ke sena ke oni bo abo ji embe ka ni bo chen ni ka be da bira bro be akwan ke ka be ni ma bo tie ke ka be ni ma ju amwe ke se bo den da bira bro ke among bloke among fuimon down democracy agamo di benge pi pa benge ni nananga mwanji pa yeke o sembi ke among abrida birabu ke ka be blodi e nywan yeke de osama kwimbo wukisi aje ke zena ke oni abo diende be je be asma bo kwinza yen ke be ke kwinza ni be nge abigu amupo ni mbe anjua mwe by Dr. Joseph Baba.
So today, I would like for us to begin a series of discussions on the topic, Introduction to Liberian Democracy and Governance System and Structure. And that will be part 1. And hopefully next week, we will continue with part 2 because it's a lengthy discussion, so we cannot do it in one recording. We may have to do several recordings in order for us to clearly present the information to all Liberians.
Ara dagon be amon do mon dembo sena ke omo do be oni bo chemo bruvi ke wani boti de ke komon ka be pomna na ke zena ke o soni ke de oni se kwan se sen kwan pa ni be okay abu kwinza ni ka be de se omo kwinza yen ke o soni ke omo di ni ke kinkin ke de ni ambo oni ani bo kwinza yen ka won ke ka be da birabro ke onyuma ni ke ka anyu ni ke ka mo mu ni ni won ke se bo ni abro ke omo bro ke omo pi pa bro ke ni abro mu ni embe ngemu anpa be mo bro ju ke de be ke bro nya yen ke de se ke mo be ngena ji ju ka be abi bro ke akon ni o abi kom na yo ke mo bro ju ke mo be ni son le bange bro ke ngere son boni be bro ke nya o dia mo sen do kwin de.
So what I'm going to do is to explain the history and culture of Liberia and to explain what Liberia means. What does the word Liberia, what does it mean? Where does that word come from? What is the root of the word Liberia? I want to explain that because I want all Liberians to understand who they are and to understand what Liberia stands for, as well as the government that it's being run in the country, which is quite different from the way how our traditional people ruled our ancestors long before the free slaves came to Liberia.
Ara do ve ania de ania chance ke mo demo ki pa ke mo adabira bro ke de omo runza za be fi mo la demo pango ke de wa ji ni tabira ni de wa ni wo chenye fi ni wo chenye ke dabira de be pa ke fi mo la de o de bo o de o po bo ke o de mo apin zanye ke de dabira juin. Okay, dabira ke ya mo broke na mo kwensanye de ke debe okay broju. Okay, dabira bro mo komna bro be ana de ju apa ni ko ni aju mo yen. Okay, achi plebe be kwimon dan opo a kwimon da mo culture ke the same be mo ji de dabira bro ke kon o de mo sen kwensanye ni be ake mo won de mo dabira ke de bro de mo de wala mo dabira bro ke tebe jine na waswe nye de boke de amwe kwinzambe atena jijuo.
So the word Liberia derived from the Latin word liber, which means free, and the Celtic suffix ia, which means country. So liber plus ia equals free country. So the meaning of Liberia is free country. Therefore, the name of our country, Liberia, is a combination of two European languages, Latin and Celt. The Latins were members of an Italic tribe in ancient central Italy. They were among the early inhabitants of Rome and the Celts were the largest group of people in ancient Europe. Against this backdrop, when we say you are a Liberian, it means that you are a person or you are people living in a free country. So Liberia means free country, and you as a Liberian are a citizen of a free country. You are a free citizen of a free country.
Ora da bira blobe konine wange de vio timbo o de okpake mo wa furu wa police de panya New York ke de po New York mu be fu mon down European New York ora ru o story wa bo ke ruma datin route ranji the pogu abudu to ni New York bawo na ke also ru onyo wa dan latin ge mu ke Latin work wajinin labor ni oprimo ni engepi ipa ni bro onyo be wa konjine be wa down self care oni or the one ke mo iya ni oprimo ye bopo ke ye yipo ni wada Liberia oprimo ni da bira bro ke mo be mo pi be papi que be bani mo nyolo sebe bui kore odie da bira ge oprimo nyu ebe wa papi ye yi bro yu ju yi da bira bro yu ju ni mo papi yi de otia ge ni oprimo nyolo se ngui kon ke ze gimuni ke nyolo se ngui kon be wa ge nde baru bunyu ni en papi yi oprimo yi ma gimuni ni wala ze gi nyolo ni pi pa o mo la bira bloge o jine de mo la bira ge o fini abuge ni amo pi panyo de na wo chenye.
So the historical and religious reasons why Liberia got its name is because of certain things, and because we call ourselves free people. We are free people because during those days, back in the day, when the Europeans and the white people came to Africa, they were colonizing the people, and they took some of them as slaves. But for us in Liberia, we have always been free. And there are several reasons for us getting the name. One, because our ancestors, the Crown, the Kru, the Grebo, the Bassa, the Dewia, the Bele, the Kwa people, all of us, we came from East Africa. But our ancestors left East Africa in search of political freedom and greener pastures and farmland to get away from constant warfare and land disputes. And also because the population was growing around the Nile River Valley where we came from. And we didn't have enough land to farm because our people were farmers. So because of that, some of the people went to the high priest and told them, said, look, we beg you, we want you to talk to God for us and let him know that, you know, we don't want war. We don't want people to bother us, for him to give us a land where we can go for us to be free. And when the high priest made the sacrifice and delivered the people's message to God, God revealed to our people, to our ancestors, that, oh, I will give you guys a place, but you got to worship me. You got to believe in me and worship me. Let me be your God and you'll be my people. And anywhere you go, I will support you. So our ancestors agree on that. Then God told them, say, well, okay, I will send you to a land where you will be free, where nobody will bother you, nobody will bother the land, you will be free. And he directed and he said, you're going to go in the westerly direction, go travel towards the west. And when you get there, you will receive a sign from me that you have reached the promised land. So all our ancestors who left, some of them left, some of them came. Some Bassa people remain in Cameroon. Some people came. Some Crown people remain in Africa. Other people crossed the Kampala River and they came to the Promised Land. So our ancestors, the indigenous people, the original people that landed in Liberia, they came from East Africa because they wanted freedom. They wanted to have more farmland, and they wanted to be happy and to rule themselves. They didn't want people to bother them. And God gave them that privilege for them to come to this free land that we're in. So that's why we are free people living in a free country.
Que de la birania que abere nyokokore a mon man, a mon dio, a mon basonyo, a mon gribonyo, a mon franyo. Debe a boswenye o mon de mon nyon pi bliblo be mon Africa ke o kwa son kon wala mon East Africa. Jega tibe nide de mon East Africa ke de Africa ke kwa son kon ke dero omo se hui tete o se pa ke anyo se ke wa buele ji ke wa ni dadu imon be wa ke chi wa ke wa ni nyo ni ma wa gri kon wen wa ni ba yo ke te be wa ke mwe wa ni de se ji mon pwe wa du ji pa te ke wa ji no de Africa ke o de ason kon be ku mon down West Africa ke de anyo mo bloto preto do be a down basonyo ke man ke gro ke te sin amon nyo ani apo abaso ke wu senye ani yenya ke ani kambe oni ani dua ke ora ani taru imon be akre prince bole de be anya so ke nyo wa ni ani buenje ani taru mon jino imon be akechi ke wa ja diete wa ke wa ni yenya ke wa nyo mo wa na nyo mo wa ni ba be wa mo bro na nyo ke wa ke de po o ji wa bora mu be ta mo jin to to te nya be tu enya ke to ke be ye bo wen be ke mba mo ni be ke mbi e mo ni mu da mo jin to bo be ka nyo ke de po wo na wa jin de wa na nyo ke mu wa ya te ke de be abre anji sen ọmọ West Africa be mo Liberia ka won ke ka nwen afraid to say me be freedom track ka yete ke adia sen la ke de poda mu be ta mo jin to be se to se be bo pa mu le nyo se be bu ngi mu le ara de poda to ke be ye mu ke be ji mba ni be ji bi ni mu be bo ni de nwen sen ke adia sen de ma da bira be akwan omo pi pablo ke be atia sen ke ni bo ke
Okay. So you know, like the way how you were saying West Africa, I mean East Africa, West Africa, where the sun rises from. That's where we came from. And God directed us to go to where the sun falls down, where the sun, you know, sets. That's where we are now. So we came from where the sun rises to where the sun sets. That's the migration. That's the biblical information regarding our migration from where the sun rises to where the sun sets. And that was long time before the age of slavery. Long time before the age of slavery. So even those people that they sold as slaves, that went to America, to Europe, to the Western world as slaves, they all were all together before. When we arrived, we were all together before the age of slavery. Then when slavery took place, then some of our people were taken and brought to the Western world. So the people that they took and brought to the Western world, And the Black Americans in America today and in other parts of the Western world, in the islands and all of that, what's that, Barbados, Jamaica, all these people, they are all our people. We're all the same people. All the Black people, everybody, we are the same people. We're not different from the other people. So it's important for us to understand as we talk about the history and culture of Liberia.
Kabe onia ji konenye debe aswan be mo East Africa mo debe jirona ge orukwang ke dema West Africa konje onia ji komo debe duo pa die they are sense na ge de adite ke adia dema be debe duna ke pa die mo West Africa ke ti ara ke gi je so so ni ke anare ni pan won ko ke USA fu blo bi akon depo fu bi o America fu bi o ko ke wa di ke wa pon anu eri ke wa pon wa gi mu ke wa pon wa gi mu en ko ke wa ja wa te mo America ke Jamaica o Barbados yo na ke de ke anu yo ke wa pon wa gi mu ke wa ja wa na wana wa ja ke ko ke wa nya no wi na ke bi mo America ke de anyon se padang wa American yo ku ka wen ola African American yo or Black American ke a se na ke amonyo yaro ke de bia ni mu ke wa monyo yaro ni ke omo fu yo ke wa pon amonyo ku yo ke wa pon ma ki mu ke wa dia ni nga wa ke a se na ke na le pu yen wa ke wa ni wa monyi wa bre grand ye ke wa bre bu ke de se wa du ni ton ke anyon se ke wa sare wa ji ke wa ja no America bi ran ke kon o England bi kon ke wa nyon wa gi mu ke a sense na ke debe a so ma ke omo debe ju na ke panji omo West Africa ke de a sense ma o je fo be a ka nyanya de se yi ju ke a bla ke yi ju debe a dembo fo ke a ya bro mo da bi da ke ju en we.
So after our people came here to the United States and to other parts of Europe and the Western world, after some time, they had their freedom. They got their freedom. There was abolition of slavery. And some of the same Black people, our own family people that came here, they decided to say, you know what, since they say we're free, we don't want to stay in the Western world anymore. We want to go back to where our forefathers came from. So they decided to come to what is now Liberia for the same reason why our ancestors left the place where the sun rises from to come to where the sun sets. They all came because they wanted freedom. So all of us, whether those that us who are indigenous people that are in Liberia, or the American Liberians and Congo people and Creole people who are in Liberia, we all came to this promised land, which is Liberia, because we wanted freedom, we wanted self-rule, we wanted to be happy, we wanted to enjoy ourselves and to be one people and to enjoy the land that God gave us. So all of us are in Liberia because we want peace, we want happiness, we want justice, we want to rule ourselves.
Webe nyong pi bi wa kwa wa manga jona ga de India wa ka wa pi po wa ga da bi la de mwen a sena ke monyo yaro ke wa no wa gi mo sa ke wa la de abe nywe mo amo aga bi de mo te be aswa te be jona ke panji be wa manga gi mo pon ko ga ya no die amo be akre mu de a die ke zon gbe na zie wa pa bli me yu mu ke wa ji te ke wa ja bra fe na be fu mo da mo wa dan wa she ke wa ja wa mu ke wa ja wa te ke wa po no wa de be ani aka mo la bi ro ke so bere nyu e wa na gi mu so ke wa ra asimo ni de asina bro na ke mu ni aso gi mu a mo be ke de be aso so king be apa o so mu ke ani mare wa ke fu ya ni pa ke wa ya ni gi mu nyu ani de kwen yen ka nyu sen ke nyu be ada medical labyrinth omo gongo nyo omo kuye be wa dia ni wa so kwina gabriel wa mu adede abida pirabro ke ni afrimu na ke asense ake ma yi poem be ake nyo yero jun ka mu manyo yero ga poenji ke wa ke wa mo so anon ke wa mu de abi omo asen da pirabro ke asenyo ke amonyo yero ke wa mu na ke wa so gi mu wara kabe adima muamu tebe dona ke pandi omo West Africa be adima ke amwa be akere mu ka nye ke wa dia ke wa na dia ke wa dia abi be mo sen da biraji omo muan pawe omo pi pawe obro ke o de wa dia sen ji ka mo la bireke o je asena ke amonyo nyo yaru emo kongo nyo mo American Liberian yo mo basonyo mo greponyo mo franyo mo dia sembe di juwe mo vanyo asena ke amonyo yaro ke bromo da bida bro ke mo pi pa bro asense mo yokon o jege de be akechi ake yuo be ake muanpa be ake komla mo jin na nye de na ke o de ke po opuma bo kan je o de maka da bida bro be mo pi pa bro ke o de aji ga no boke.
And the third important thing that I want to tell all Liberians is, and it's imperative to state and note that according to our oral traditional history, Liberia was created by the divine intervention of Almighty God as the promised land, the haven or the Israel of the Black race or the Canaan of Africa. Further, it is averred that God created our historical and political hegemony by securing the landscape now called Liberia from being colonized by European powers during the balkanization and colonization of the continent of Africa. For this reason, Liberia was the only land in Africa that was not colonized or that never gained its independence from any Western power, even though Liberia faced heavy pressures from powerful European nations such as Great Britain and France during its early years as the only independent nation in Africa.
Oje otani be oniji konenye mo aka mi wo debe asoyan ke ani nyanya debe be asema yiju ke ona ni gbe so ke asena pra yiju ora de je be ke po onyuma bo ati ke omugote dabira bro keji ke oja niyen ona ni nja ke ora tu ke be ni wunyu ni ka janja be ke be we Israel weji ke konje ndia no be die ke ti abla ke hui oro wasema agimu pon nyo kwi mon dan colonization kwi moni benge nyu e pon na mo konra wo France bro depo kwi America bro wa die ke po oba ni kwinje ke wase ado ki amunyu wa ke ni amoyan konra wo je ke de da bida oni nyanya chire mu France o depo kwi o ma England o ma depo kwi bi Great Britain ke wase ado pon be abro ke be akegi muni de wa kwa o be wa ke bro yidu o je inde de poni oni ji momo mu bro ya ro wase ade pon be ake wa free ni o je de pola de ko George wa na ke ni debe ani asen mo la bro ke mo abi bro ke wen ka Israel broji o je ke o mo ani ite ke ani asen bo sibolen de poge o blepe o je ke o se nyu e o fi e wa se ani bo tin do ga ni ji mu pon do ga ni we be ke bro juwen be blebe ke fon o ka be South Africa be ke Kenya be wa fon we ke wa people o se nani da bi la se nyu man nyu kuri ni ke de po mo yo mo ani ji ke nyu se ani we consent ke amon pi fanyo ke de po la ju ke be yi ni gunyu ni mo na nyu pa nyu ma na oje nyu yo do wa se ani pon be ake wa free ni.
And I will give you an example of why I say that God created Liberia as the Israel of the Black race. During the early years of independence, when Liberia was like 10 years old, 12, 15, 20 years old, the British and French were anxious and eager to grab our land. They wanted to take the land away from us. But God protected us because the free slaves who came from America, when they saw that the British people wanted to colonize what is now Liberia, they decided to declare Liberia an independent nation. And by declaring Liberia an independent nation, modern nation, it protected Liberia from being erased from the map. The British people wanted to use Liberia as a protectorate, but the early founding fathers refused. The French people wanted to use Liberia as a protectorate. The early founding fathers refused. They stood their grounds. And because Liberia was young at that time and they didn't have the military might, they didn't have the necessary financial backing and all of that, you know, the British and the French took advantage of us. And they took some of our land. Liberia, the early fathers claimed a larger piece of land on the west side of Liberia, between Liberia and Sierra Leone, that was called the Gallinas. It's a northern coastal area between Mana and Siwa rivers from the British encroachment, because Liberia was militarily weak. Thus, Liberia was forced to allow the British to annex the area to Sierra Leone. President Gardner resigned over the issue, but in 1885, President Hillary Wright Johnson formally recognized the annexation. So they took land from us. So all that place there that behind Mana River today, the boundary is at Mana River. But before then, we're way behind to where they call the Siwa River. Where the Siwa River is, that's where our land was before. So the British people took that. Then the French people mounted the same pressure on the early founding fathers on the eastern border with the Ivory Coast. And our land used to go as far as to San Pedro, you know, in the southeast. The French encroached on that land and they took it. Then the same French people again on the northern side, Liberia with Guinea, our land went as far as Makona, and Nianda, and Mana rivers. But in 1907, Liberia was once more lost territories to the French. But with all that, God was still on our side. He was still on our side. So it is still safe to say that Liberia fought for her hard-earned freedom as the land of the free, a free land of liberty for all men and women of color since the inception of the world, and that despite all the political changes and turmoil Liberia and Liberians went through, Liberia is still indeed the land of the free on the continent of Africa.
Ora lego je oni anchi konnemio ke ora depo mo yanywa sen ke ama da biranyo ke akwa tu ya bro brie omo apo ke po so ke po ke mo yani babu se barenti be anyi be wati ada birabro je wana ma wa mi bo na ni Britain New York ma depo New York ke France anyo wani madie mwen wa mwa ke paro yidu ke se bolen la bira mabrodie ke mabrodie yo se ma pe fen roble yinde bukon ke wuri ke de se mwen je France New York wa fon wen ke wa France New York depo nyoma British ke wa fon wen be ke abro ke wa ka de ridu ona nani ani nyu be wa mo abro wa mo ka bro na nyo be fu mo da a nyu be wa de ani yi o wen ga nyu ya da ko ngo nyo be wa ya da bi da bro ke yi de wala kwe be bro mo France bro British bro be wa kwa ga die de be a nyu be a po ya mbo ya po ya mbo ji be a kini amona ke amopi pa bro onyo kwimon da independent ke wa mu ke wa zena ke amoda pira bro o je ke wa na wa mbo pri po so woron nyon sen wa na yu ka wa mo am mbo ni bro je wa sia bro kwaza ke de wa nwe wa ni ti pan yin bo abi se bo wa mo wa ke abro yi du o je ke wa bro wa fon wenwen wa be grant ye wa fon wen ke adie mo ka na nyo ke wa bro baro be wa dan yi la rege ọmọ ke ọmọ ọfọn wọnwọn ke new york wa kó sunday ke ọdún àbúrò rí èbèjì ke ọnyíró france blo mọ àrékò káwọn ọkẹ wa dógbò wákàrò jíde ke wà ní guinea blo kan sebọdẹ wa kó ma sunday ke gàákẹ ọbẹ ọkẹ mọ náà nyú bẹ àbúrò ke ọkẹ yìí dé wọnwọn nyọrọ kan àbúrò kan náà yìí dùn jẹ ke ọmọ àgẹpọ ọbọ wẹndẹ sebọdẹ gẹpọ sẹmọ àbọ wẹni ní àbúrò mọ àdàbíra ke onima France free moins or onima Great Britain free moins quelque part le tien que odi rubo ani new mo nyanya new ya bi be ko mo dam ancestor ge ora mu le bo boni ka be mo ju amoni ge se bole na be ji to ka be da bi da bro ge ko ka Israel bro ni ge o je ge de po new ke wa se abro pra kwa za ke wa za de be kwa se bole ni place in be ni man career omuke otobru odiare owagabi ake otu enyu yekeji okonje sena ke asena ke akpamu ake abru ake enyu wani ma vombe wake abru idu ke report wa boke wa se da bidabru idu se bore de promi ko na ma dite ko wenbo ka be da bidabru ke omochi eni yen.
So it's important for all of us to be thankful to God, one, and two, for us to be proud of ourselves and our ancestors for what they did, because unlike other African countries that had to fight for their freedom, to ask a European or Western power to grant them freedom and independence, our situation was different. We did not ask America to give us independence. Our ancestors declared themselves independent, which is different. And they declared themselves independent because they did not want for the European powers that were colonizing Africa to further encroach upon our land. So that's a great contribution that was made by the founding fathers of the First Republic of Liberia for standing up and proclaiming our independence to the international world. So we must be very grateful, for that contribution, historical contribution.
Như bé wa ni ma abroad na bé wa dan wa ancestor wa mo abroad na nyoke wala se bode juga se ma yinyina be akeni abroad ke ala pi pa wo be ke woron same bo chen be kwimo la declare independent gamo age woron kana bo chen ka be adondo mo ami boni bro ke anyina ye je omo ande mo ji ke wa ni ma wasimana ni France bro ke Great Britain bro ya ke America ya ke zimani gba mu abro yi dun o je ke amonyon se ni adabira zen be akon awo de mo de able anye mo adabira ke mo pi pa bro ke asense mo yon kon bro na wo ke o je ke anyo e be wa mo ni ma jiwa be wa yi bro na wo wa ye de ke omo de ne mo ji ke wa ma bi ke abro ke bro mo depo bro mo England ke France bro wani ma vombe wa kuma bro idu ke wana wa mi ngo chenga be amwa do ni bro o je ke wa prefer ke wa se bro idu o je ke abre be akenyo ya ke anyo so abe be mo nyo son kenyo ke wa juma na ke ablebe akemu ankpabo abi de wa nyuma ke modern majin ke bro ya ke wase bro kwasa ke sena ke amwa pi pablo ke anyade Africa bro ke konka ke amwa bro ke nyon sengwa ninje o jara di asense mo da bira nyon ke bia mo nyon ya lo ke akoye o ke dinde bro ani de bomu de ani nyoe okay de ke pop ma bobo abi ye ke amo be ke ju amoni enye ani ju amoni ke de kube pani ke apo ke post bu ka be anyu ye ke wa mo yo ma nyina ma di ke wa amwa mi ko ni bro o je nyoro se a ki mu pon ni wa se abro idu mu ka fransa ke bro me mo de problem mo pre preaching wa se abro idu e o mo ma ke po bo wende ke anyina san di ke amwa mi ko ni bro e.
So because of the bravery of the early fathers and all of that, they proved to America, because during the time when they were establishing the Republic of Liberia, America, and when the free slaves left America to come to Liberia to establish an independent nation in Africa, the leaders of the American society used to laugh at the people. They used to laugh at them and say, well, good luck to you guys. You will never make it. The blacks are not capable of self-rule. They cannot rule themselves. They will never work. That was the argument. So that was the argument with the Americans. But before that time, in 1804, Haiti, which is the first independent black nation in the Western Hemisphere, the Haitians fought a revolutionary war with the French, and they defeated the French and declared their independence. They declared their independence in 1804. So they were the first black nation to gain its independence. And our founding fathers were inspired by what the Haitians did. So they were very convinced that when they too could establish, the first independent republic on the continent of Africa. At the time when Africa, there were no modern states in Africa. So they had to really struggle in order for them to stand up against that. So the Americans were against them. So when Liberia gained her independence in 1847, America did not recognize Liberia. They did not recognize Liberia. The first European nation to recognize Liberia was Great Britain. Great Britain recognized Liberia in 1848, a year after Liberia's independence. And because of all the things that the Southerners, especially most of the Southern politicians, they were, racist, and they really didn't have, respect for the black man. And so they felt that nothing good will come from out of Liberia. But the British people, even though they took part of our land and all of that, but they were the first to recognize Liberia in 1848. America did not recognize Liberia until after 15 years. After 15 years, 1862, before they recognized Liberia. And that was after the Civil War in the United States, when Abraham Lincoln extended, recognition to Liberia, because they already saw that the people were really, stalwart, they were determined, and they were very, very patriotic. So the issue about who recognized our country first, it was not America, because the Americans at that time did not believe that a black man was capable of self-rule. The first people that recognized us was Great Britain. And then, of course, Belgium and France and all those people before America did.
Nye ara yinde dabira onyanya chire mwe tebe dabira wa mo be wa dia ga sara ni wa ya wa mu ni bro na ni e mo bro omo heti bro ke de heti ni ya ti wa mo na ma ki mu ni e wa fon wen se body France and you mo yon koma wa gi mu ke wa mu wala sen na ke amo be aka bi woni blodun ase France beaucoup ni ani ke wala e France and you la be mo yon ku bi de be nwe be se bouble be se le roble de mi e be ni be mi bo ni yi na wen o je ke ase amu e bo fon ke wa eti New York ma esi New York wa fon France and you bo cha ke wa na wa amo ake pi pa pues tu que ope Francia New York cuenta que Francia New York ana hace ton due ben je que bena pi pa que amo pon fren ko pa yi ana na ni ani new e be wa so America que wa na na da bi la blan que ide America New York wa new mo nyo pu be wa nye nyo ku mo be fui dan wa racist be wa mo new wa nye nyo ku mo wa seni America wa free wa ni wa yoke wa de America ni la black enyo de black enyo be ni me wa so wa mi ko na be ma wa ni wa job dan ke black po be mo yon wa da bi da ya zen ni ke wa dan wa colonization society American colonization society wa da ACS ọmọ po ke wa de ma ni ye wa amumu be aka mi go nine ke fui wa nyen yo pe mo wa je ni de nyo ko be nyu ke wa se nyu be nyu pa ke a nyu e be wa de a bro ke je wa ji mwe ke wa fon ke wa amwe bi twin ka be amwe ami ko blo ju wen a na nyu ke wa die wa da bi da yi ni na ka be mo bro ke nyon se wa ni wa ju asan je ke blo mo de problem mo Great Britain wa mo yon kin wa mo yon je da bi da ka be mo bro ke America bro be nyo sware bo ya bro yi die wa se America wa se da bila ti to ka be mo bro die ko yi je wa gan ke ni te ke wa se da bila ti to ka be mo bro ke ti be wa ke da bila ti to ke pu ona son gbe tu wa ke wa okay ka re na ke anabi yu ka be mo bro ke nyo kin mo yo o tu ani ti ka be amo bro ke ajina ye ọmọ Great Britain ọmọ Adepo New York porque Belgium que bruto be wadwa asenji to ba ka ya mo ami ngo ni bro ke America se ma wa se nyo kinki be ga ni jito so gbe na zi wa tu ani ji o when de mo America nyo ke da bi da nyo de mo nyanya de be oba wa ye ka ju ka bo ni.
So when that happened, then there were only three, when Liberia gained her independence, there were only three black nations, modern nations in the world. That was Haiti, Liberia, and the Empire of Ethiopia. They were the three black nations, two independent black nations on the continent of Africa, and Haiti in the Western Hemisphere. And then it took some time, long time, before Kwame Nkrumah and what's that, Sekou Touré, and all these revolutionary, Jomo Kenyatta, all these revolutionary Africans began to rise up, you know, for the freedom of their people. And then that's when, like in March 6, 1957, Ghana gained her independence from the British. October 2nd, 1958, Guinea gained her independence from the French. As you can see, these people, Haiti gained their independence from France, Ghana from Great Britain, Guinea from France, but Liberia gained her independence for God. God gave us our independence. We stood up for our grounds, we stood our grounds and got our independence. Nobody gave us that independence, but God gave it to us because he blessed Liberia for it to be a free land, for us to be free people. So from the beginning of time, we've always been free people. So despite the fact that we're going through what we're going through these days, there is still light at the end of the tunnel. The same God that brought our ancestors from the rising, where the sun rises to where the sun sets, The same God that took our brothers and sisters from Africa, brought them in slavery and brought them back to Liberia, that same God will see to it that we have peace and unity in Liberia, and Liberia will continue to be the land of the free.
Ara kwebe nyong pi ni woro be wa bria ka bro pravi ka wen ke manani de woro wen bro ma Ethiopia ga ke Haiti bro ni Liberia ma bro tu tanyine wa mwa nyong pi bi bro be wa mo yo wa nyina mandi ka be wa mo bro kwa ke bro to be ke wa dwa ka wa mi boje von be wa ke pi pa ke o wen ga bro mo Ghana beke and Guinea beke Arico be na wake Sibore New York wa Simobe New York wakuma wa mi bon nai ke New York mi bo wa von ke wa papi akonje so emboti abla bo wa je dabida ka be dabida nyina ji ke omo mi ngo ni yin na bro ke je ka mo maka mami en kuma ge omo nyo king ke von be Ghana bro na ke be akema Brede New York or Depo New York kama wa freezer ona nani chage bruto be kan je nwamo Guinea o Sierra Leone o bro sembe ani la bo ke bro to be kinja ya ke wa du afon pa cha be wa ke wa mi bo bro tun ka nwe di le da bi da je mu omo bro king kama nyon pi bro king kan na yi dia ni wa kana wa ko pues nwe na wa du afon pa o je debe adekro kan ke adinaje mo ke po o mo yan wa zan ka mo abro ke adinaje o tie ke ola de po jaru ke o mo wa bo ni de be ona ni fe mo pa bubru obi to be o ji ke de ba be o ni ade komna be se mo ga jin mo the same be o ni anji bo api ye amonyo yaro ke de po kun ya ji bo ke de po jaru ke o mo nyun zan be Liberia ke yin nyina de mo ji be o ke bro nyon se wa ke mu anji pa be wa ke mu de bro akon be wa ke mu anji pa ke be ake pi pa be ake se nyoro pri ni de ke ora ji ne bi po jaro ke mo nyun zen ke so na ke ju amwe Liberia bro ke o mu yi nyina de ko mu yi ku se bare de po o mu yo chen na to ni ani na wen o ji o po ja ka be mu na ni de ke Liberia bro ke omunya ke ti omunya won ke nyon se mu yi na le wa Liberia bro mo ka kin je ala de so ke nyon se na le mo ke Liberia ni mu yi bu ami yo a ke ko yaro ke mo yan ni na ke ko mo na ni de ke.
So with all that being said, now it's time for us to understand what kind of government was established in Liberia, and how are we supposed to live together as a people and nation. This is what I'm going to explain right now to you so that you understand. When the founding fathers established Liberia, they established Liberia as a democratic republic. So when you say democratic republic, that's a form of government, and it has a structure and it has a system. A democratic republic is different from a communist country. The way how people rule people in a communist country is not the same way how people are ruled in a democratic republic. So we need to understand, what does the word democracy mean? What does the word republic mean? So that we will understand, because we already know the meaning of Liberia now. We know that it's a free land, and Liberians are free people living in a free land. So we understand that part. But what does it mean for us to say that Liberia is a republic? And what does it mean for us to say Liberia is a democratic republic? Everybody, every Liberian needs to understand that, because once you understand it, then you will be able to behave as people who live in a democratic republic.
Ora kia na maji teke amumani bro na bia ni wora wen abe tu koko oduo ge odo omo democracy republic of Guinea wajini omo democratic republic of Liberia ke primoni kabe agomna oge pangpa ni mo ji be nge ji blende nwe ode ade komna ke bo ke adue kabe komna yaru ke omo ju amoni ke omuna ni eje ora omo ga ni bo kwen zain de be ba de e bro pa wajini a democratic republic ni omo abokwen san amo akana jijuo de apango ke okun mo gomna be oni dun emu como gomna ka ke gomna ke mo jinyu gomna ke se be ke nyolo ji munyu gomna be abe woro wen odu foji abe gomna do wala a communist okun mo ni bro kana ke nyon se ni bro amwe communist bro amwe ni wa ni gomna bi kwa nywen ke ani democratic republic ke mo ben de ni ben ge ji bua nge ni nge ba ben ge de senyu ni gomna ke mo yo sen we kon ogeni he de se ani nywen ke no amon gomna ya ke mo yo bi akugu sa ko ben nge bua o ge de ro yuo aji ke o ko de gomna sen we bro ke de adi amon adabira bro ke be a sen ke mo anji pa ora o mo be akeyi yuo kabe de ko dia dona oje omo be akepi pa ke ami bo mu anyi pa be ake del mo jinyu kuna ke oge broju bo mo ke del mo jinyu.
So let's start with democracy. Democracy is a combination of two Greek words, demo, which means people, and krasia, which means power. So in this context, the word power means possession of control, authority, or having influence over others. Accordingly, democracy is a form of government in which supreme power is vested in the people and exercised directly by them or their elected agents. So we say that Liberia is a democratic republic. So as a democratic republic in a democratic country, the power is vested in the people, not in a handful of officers, government officials that ride all the big cars and act like they're the bosses. No, in a democratic country, the people are the bosses. They are the ones that have the power to elect the officials, to elect the president, to elect the vice president, the senators, the representatives. They have the power to do so. They, the same people, you, the people, have the power to say, to tell the president we don't want you, or to tell the vice president, to tell anybody that you don't want them if they're not doing what you want them to do. So it's important that for you to understand that as citizens of a democratic republic, the power belongs to you. You must use your power, and the way to use your power is for you to vote. That's when you make that decision who you want and who you don't want. So it's important for you to understand that you live in a democratic republic, and in a democratic country, the power is vested in the people, and you have the right to exercise that power.
Ara bro be akon na de kurima democracy agemo nyi wa ni bro mwe wa mo yon kon na wi nyi wa mo bro ju yo ke wa mo yon nwe ke wa nyu an kon na ke se le be yo bro ba yo join be bro kana ke mo ke wi kon ge nyon se wi kon ke osinani de kan je de wa down democracy again ni bo ke amonyo e mo broju yo ke amonyo apo income na ji ke ara mona ke amo benga ni bro ba ju nga ni ke blade mo apo bo mu o be ku mo dan senator o representative o superintendent we ake omonyo be na be adua yo mo democracy ke ka ni ko sire be nyu e wa yin pe ni mo president ke ben ge nyu ya wi kon ge osinani so democracy ge mo akia miongo nine yinde nyo be amumu anyi pambe ake jito be kwimonda nyo ake ileke be nyo be okani bomo ona ke amonga na ke kani gbo ba ju o kwimon nyo yo ke wa bonyo ble pe be ka ji ma kwimonda power ke oni wa mu ke sile mo place je ke ben ge nyo yo power we kon ge nyo sin we kon ge ọwẹ gọmìnà bẹẹ àbúlé mọ dàbílẹ gọmìnà ní nànà ẹkẹ kàbí àkíkà àbó ní ọmọ democracy ọkìkẹ ọsìlẹ bẹẹ nyọ yàrá bẹẹ kí blue ọdún náà yànjú fún ọdẹ sẹyìn yìí tiẹn kẹ nìyí plẹsì yàn náà tí ó ní ọmọ yìí bẹẹ yàn sí wà kí plẹsì yànjú wà zà ọkùnrin mọ ní ọsẹ blue ọmọ wúbọ democracy kẹ ọsẹ mọ kẹ ní ọkùnrin mọ ní yàn yàrá bẹẹ ọmọ ká plẹsì yàn kẹ ọkẹ àyàn sí ìwé kan sí náà ní kẹ dé democracy ọmọ ẹ àmọyàn àwọn gọmìnà kẹ àmọyàn níwọn gọmìnà kẹ ọjì ẹkẹ gọmìnà ló yé pa kí ọjì mọ ká ní wí kọ́ngìnì ní ọ̀sẹ̀ new york pé new ní ìsìnbọ̀rẹ́ democracy ọ̀gẹ́ mọ̀ new york pé bẹ́ẹ̀ wà dẹ̀ wà mọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ̀ngẹ́ wà bí new ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ gẹ́ new.
So when we say democratic republic, when you say republic, it means that it's a form of government with three branches, three separate but equal branches. That's why they were republic. That's why as the first is Liberia is democratic in that the power is vested in the people. But then as a republic, we have three equal but separate branches of government, which is quite different from the way how our indigenous ancestors ruled. Our indigenous ancestors had a monarchical form of government that where there were no elections, where the son of the king would take over when his father passes, which is quite different from a democracy where the people must vote for their leaders, where the people have the power to vote for the leaders. Before, during the olden days, when our ancestors were kings and queens, they had all the power. But well, for a democracy, it's the opposite. The power is vested in the people. So now we're vested in the people, but then we are living in a republic. So what makes Liberia a republic is because the government has three equal but separate branches of the government that I will be naming after this interpretation.
Ara wàyí ní republic democratic republic ní ẹkùn mọ̀ ló bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ̀ nànà ìwọ̀nà kẹ ọ̀bẹ gọ̀mìnà ọ̀bẹ tùtà wà bẹ́ẹ̀ gọ̀mìnà wàdà house of representatives ọ̀gẹ̀ house of senate ọ̀gẹ̀ executive ọ̀gẹ̀ ọmọ republic ọ̀gẹ̀ wàyí ní republican gọ̀mìnà ní ọ̀dẹ́ àníyàmú àmọ́ democracy ọ̀gẹ̀ ọ̀sílẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ àníyànyànyù ìwà mọ̀ ó sọ̀n ká kàn bẹ́ẹ̀. Today, can you many or you got me on where years and any Gomnani Naga or the Waronga and in Gomnati, that was I'm a Republican or I'm a Republic of Liberia more bear and in Gomnaga Duta. As a king Gomna or the educate and you knew what you queer ye. Can you blow by doing? You are Keblani, name Bedwina Sebody, Gomna Bear Democratic Republic of Liberia, then democracy of money worker.
And also it's important for you to understand that during the traditional days, the king would rule the people for as long as he could live. And when he died, then his son or daughter will take over. But it's not like that with the Democratic Republican form of government. With the Democratic Republican form of government, we have terms. You cannot stay there forever. The law of the country will determine how long the president is supposed to stay in office. So we have terms. The president is not supposed to die in office like the way other Africans do and all of that. When they do that, they are not following the rules and principles of democracy. they are mixing democracy up with monarchy form of government, which are two different things. And because most of our people were born in the traditional system rulership before the introduction of Western governmental system in Liberia, it's important for us to make it clear to them that in a democratic republic, the president, the vice president, and all the officials have terms. They give them specific terms. For instance, in Liberia, the president is supposed to serve a 6-year term. After that 6-year term, you got to come back to the people. You got to come back to the people, to us, the people, to say, can you please give me some more time? If we agree, then we can give it to him. And to do that, you got to go and vote. So voting will come next year, 2023. They will come back to you to come ask you to vote. And if you don't want the person, you don't have to vote for them. You're not forced to vote for somebody that you don't want. Even if they try to threaten you, when they try to threaten you, it's wrong for them to do so. So you must decide who you want. That's why the power is given to you in a democratic Republican form of government.
Republican government, which Democratic Republic of them. Atiba, Senator Joe, Representative Join, Ninty, number you wedding, and Muredo Yabore, Kewa Mokua, Wagam, women down, vote, Bewa you do the bang you at 9. Catch you guys in Andy, ni a can, prevent women down, King share a day, I wouldn't hear. But yeah, I didn't come now, Mue, Ninty, number you wedding, and Muredo Yabore. Today, what you moon baby, what getting pudding, come with him, ponde. Can say what a conneven getting one well. They say them putting in Amogo Bajan was in any. Come now, Abia get more. New Year money, and what putting they come now, Mude John G. More senator, more nigga, what putting the po. Care, I say there, and you president, Junie. The hey, presidents are more. You say morning, Jeremy, you boy, you then in Babania, yeah, and the blood nan in my gene. You're saying you representative or senator or Monia Kelby, I guess a gin more, you say Democratic Republic of Liberia, I guess no more. But Sonia Yang and in Kanga Yang, maybe bear more from Bam, and you are one into an hour wedding. You are one phone, the Baba again, you did report. Yeah, Republican, Democratic Republic, Jumbo Liberia anywhere.
So in the Republican form of government, we have 3 separate and equal branches. We got the legislative branch of government. The legislative branch of government are the people who make the laws in the country that they own the work. That's what it's supposed to do. According to the rules, that's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to execute any law. They're not supposed to act like the what's that, security people and grabbing people and putting people in jail and all of that. That's not their work. Their work is for them to just make the law. That's all. The executive branch, the work of the executive branch is for them to execute the law. That they're on the work. They're not there to make no law. They're there to just execute the law, to make sure that if you say there's no stealing, or stealing is a crime, when somebody steals, it's the responsibility of the executive branch to bring that person to the court, to bring them to the court so they can have a trial. When they find out that the person they steal the money, for them to be able to restitute the money and or to put the person in prison based upon the law that they have violated. So the legislative people make the law, the executive people or execute the law. But before they execute the law, before you can put anybody in jail, you got to go to the judiciary. The judiciary people are the judges and things. The chief justice, the circuit court judge, the death court judge, the this and that. They are there to interpret the law. That's all they're there for. They interpret the law. They're not there to go put you in jail. You go before the judge, you explain your case, they listen to the case, and they compare what you say to what the law says. If you violate the law, then they say, oh, you violated so and so law, you're supposed to pay a fine of $20,000 and you're supposed to be in prison for 3 years. They finish with that one. That's not a work for them to go grab you and put you in jail. The people that are supposed to do that are the executive, because they don't want to run the place. That's why you got the justice ministry and other people that they're on the work to do that after the judges determine whether you violated the law or not. If you didn't violate the law, then you go free. So those 3 branches are supposed to do their work, and the other one is not supposed to do the other person work. They just only supposed to do their work. So that's what we mean when we say 3 separate but equal branches of government.
Update to time. Okay, come down your bed, my same be a more queenie, and get a more change. What I want my law ponyo. Okay, or sunny or more. Nyoma mo ablo ba yo ke wada wa executive mo be wa ke you ga be law be wa mo change be mo executive be yo president to ni be nge ka be mo be wa po be ke mo ma ji ni wa ke abre nyo be mo judiciary mo koti bo ni gomna po ke be wa ke nyu mo law be wa na po judiciary na ke wa mo be rules ayo ke oye together yo wa yo npon wa ya ngwa ma oni ni da ko je wa pa nko ti en west we ni mo komla ke o du tani yo ko mo abo ko ti o lawyer o de se ya ke ni me wa ke je bo je ka be den ma ke de ba ju ni sa pon ni together se de ba ju ni ni judiciary o po na wa ke ni o ben pi po ni wa se je po mu.
So when laws are not made, when laws are not passed, you know exactly who didn't do their work. That's what the 3 separate but equal branches of government. That's what it does. It provides us with the knowledge of who is doing their work in the country and who is not doing their work in the country. If there are supposed to be laws legislated, laws made to stop people from rape, from doing this and doing that, and there's no law to that effect that will make sure that those kinds of things are not done, then you know that it's the legislative branch that didn't do their work, because they did not make the laws that we will use to stop those kinds of crimes from going on. But if the legislators make the laws that say that if anybody is caught with rape, should be put in jail or whatever it is, and somebody is caught with committing rape and they're not put in jail, then that's the executive. The executive branch is headed by the president. The legislative branch is headed by the speaker and what's that, the pro tempore of the Senate and all of that. They are responsible for that. So if things that are supposed to be done, if they're not done, if the judiciary make the decision and say, oh, this person stole X amount of money, therefore they must pay it back, or they should go to jail, and you see that person still riding big car around the place, that means that the executive didn't do their work, because their work is for them to execute the law, to make sure that if the judiciary say, oh, this thing here is, this person did wrong, they got to pay the money back, then the executive will grab the person and say, well, pay the money back. If the judiciary say, oh, this person is going to go back to, go to jail or whatever it is, the executive is supposed to execute that order for the person to go to jail.
Onye wokwenza anye mo ama bro na mwabe wapo amo legislature ke executive ke judiciary ke mo ye be to ke yo de baronyu ke wasen je point nyo ke mo judiciary se kwanwani to ke ma die wa pwa ke ma ke to ke se in legislature ke mo yo okon ofri de ne bo se ma nwani ke executive ke mo president ke mo yo bia ke ji ka be lo ben mpia na kwa ke wa nyo simbe wa ni wa de ke mo yo ji pa mo ni wa mo yo wa ke ji po so bo de nwa ke mo de ba ke komra o brata bi o zan kuin mo legislative ke executive ke judiciary ke wa se ke wa ben won ke president mo executive ke se ji ya ke o se legislature ke o se konsi un popo judiciary ke o se won si ke wa se se ya ke wa ben won wo kon jo na wa kuin zan ka be ma po tambio nya dabila oni democracy mo ko an be wa nyu do ke le sa mo kuin ke.
So the legislature, you know, the three buildings are what we call, you know, like the legislature building are what we call Capitol building. Capitol building that where the lawmakers are, where they are, where they work. They work in the Capitol building. And in the Capitol building, they got two chambers. They got two houses: the House of Representatives and the House of Senate.
Ke de legislature mo wa ble nyombe da bo mo senate bo ke representative bo ke de legislature bo ke wa mo tutanya re ke wa mo ma po nyo ke wa ma chenyo ke bo wa yin nyo mo representative ni mo ma po nyo ke ma chenyo wa yin senator o senator ni mo wa mo ma che bo je yan a je wa yin nyo ya ke wa ni de senator mo ye won capital building wa yin ni o ni ọmọ nyu na ọmọ wa ni debe wa ke ni ke o ju ke ni executive je cheni ọmọ de ma se ja ni mo place yan ke opin mo wa mo komra yo ke wa be won ke bi nde pe be wa ble mu pe yo ke wa prabe wa ble wa ke ti bo je be o ke ne mo ji ọkàn je nji de mo nji legislature join so ke mo nji representative join nji senator join ni legislature ke ode ni abo kan de wakana we kan de mon de ni kom na pan oni age ken se de so be ni bange executive jun o bange judiciary jun ka be mde kama ma ge nga gun sa ge bange wani kebla ke wa kududo to mo yi de cabinet be je wen ma be wa bo be ne ke ju ke jide ni onyo mama onyo representative mo anywhere okay senator mo anywhere.
So the senators confirm the president's appointments of ministers, judges, county officials, military officers, and other officers that the president, you know, appoints. That's part of the role of the senators. The senators also conduct the impeachment, you know, of the president, of the vice president, and judges in the event they are impeached by the House of Representatives. So first, the impeachment proceeding that will come from the House of Representatives. And the impeachment proceeding is very important for the people of Liberia to understand it, because in that way, then you will follow the law and you don't have to use violence to resolve any kind of conflict that can be resolved peacefully through the use of the law, through the rule of law.
Be mo ponyo yo kon je na wo chenye ke de na wo ke abri ke ma bo be na ona nda ke inde bo ya mu de wa ble wa pe yo ble ke ni ke ju ke mo representative o mo senator o mo executive ka ju ke njide ni waka ke ko ni nzire so be ni be ke nyoro ni kwanwe mu dogon je bo ya ke wa sembe nwe ke wa ibo ya mu ni wa be wa ke te mo ji bi onyu de be e mwa ponyo ke chenge juke e president yo nyoro ngani ni sendi ke okay representative ke wa mo wa ble nyona wa ke wa ka bo wen be wa ke ni nyona ke amo be ke president ke kwanyo amo legislature ke mo wani kwan be wa ni wa mo sendi ke representative ke wa ni mwa bo munde wa ni de ni ke se the president ke mo pon ke yibe mo be ke kwan bo ni bo pon nge japwe bo sona wa ble wa ke bo wen we.
So the Senate also approves bills passed or approved by the House of Representatives, and they require qualifications for being a Liberian senator. A person must be 30 years of age, must be a Liberian citizen, and a property value of $25,000. And the senators serve an unlimited 9-year term, which is a very, very long time, 9-year term. There are 15 counties of first level administrative division in Liberia. And each county is entitled to 2 senators. And there are 15 counties, so there are 30 senators in Liberia.
Ye sene bo mu be da bo me we center gane abe nyo ko clients blabwe de bo na wa mu nyo na wa ka wa mu wa ble wa ken kan ke de bo mu ma be wa po mo ngre zomre nyenyu ni sene da juni o wen wa yin gani ni de sene bo mu ti we mbe ke o mo treatment from mi o je ke njide nini and then bring it and Majin Sabari, some here, Marega, Amatin Majin, T. Prabang, get that Majin. Or they were down, also send you again, or the bear you did that without they come now more on your book.
And then the role of the House of Representatives, members of the House of Representatives, is twofold. They make laws and they scrutinize the functions of government. The House of Representatives has the exclusive right to initiate bills and amend bills. They serve a term of 6 years, and the person must be 25 years old to become a member of the House of Representatives in Liberia. And there are currently 73 seats in the House of Representatives, and each county is appropriated several seats based on the county's population. So it's different from the senators, where each county has 2 senators, but with the House of Representatives, it depends on the population of the county. If the population of Grand Bassa County is higher than the population of Grand Cru County, then Grand Bassa County will have more representatives in the House of Representatives than Grand Cru County, which is not the same as with the senators. Whether you have large population or not, you all are entitled to 2 members of the House of Representatives. Senate.
Ninde representative Boamwe asin Nyojingabe, and you didn't this way. Mubli and Amoyon Chingadem put it representative Mu Kajuke or the senator join Blade, but Nubo Songne, bring it to Amon Nubo Sonny, the Sandy Amu, call you representative twin, Nyojingabe in day and Akon Nyojingade and Blade Boamu. Ti be wa gan wọn mọ sọmọlẹ ní ọbẹ ngere ní sọmọlẹ ní ọdí ó sọ ní wa mọnyàn di ìròyìn bá kí n bẹ̀ ń pa ọwọ́ ẹ̀ ndé dẹbẹ́ ní Queensland dé senator kè representative bùwọ̀ mú ẹ̀ ní àbúkẹ́.
So the executive branch of the Liberian government is the second branch, and its role is to execute or enforce the laws passed by the national legislature. The executive branch includes the president, the vice president, the cabinet ministers, executive departments, independent agencies, in some boards, commissions, and committees. Together, the cabinet and executive branch handle the day-to-day enforcement and administration of the laws of Liberia. To become president of Liberia, one must be a natural-born citizen of Liberia, must be at least 35 years old, own real property at least 25,000, and must have resided in Liberia at least 10 years. The powers of the president, executive power, he has the executive power to appoint all cabinet ministers, judges, ambassadors, sheriffs, county officials, and military officers with the advice and consent of the Senate. Additionally, the president has the powers to dismiss all appointees from office at his discretion. The president may also grant pardons or revoke sentences and fines. The president conducts all matters of foreign policy, though any treaties or international agreements must be ratified by both houses of the legislature. Furthermore, the president serves as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Liberia. The Constitution of Liberia also grants the president the power to declare a state of emergency during times of war or civil unrest and suspend civil liberties during emergency as necessary, except for habeas corpus, which requires the detention of the living body of an individual to report to a court to determine whether the detention is lawful.
President, boy, have you heard of Zanquimo? President, Quibo, Comram was saying, Baby, again, your Chito. Beake, ministry, I got 1 okay, to get your eat baro nuke, Gomna Jimobe, a couple of week pony, President, my oblique, Beake, on him, one more get than I can you. Bear a blade a quick friend, get back, okay, the same you get, turning then you guys, okay, come not get to your mom. One in the one morning, when you get bear, okay, quickly. When you want white name pressing on here, when you play a quick friend, the same queen you can young name what to say it. So I say, okay, Ben one.
Okay, and then the last branch of the government is the judiciary, which is the third branch of government in Liberia. Its role is to interpret the laws of Liberia. Judicial power of the Republic of Liberia, except for tribal courts, is embodied in a unified judicial system and is vested in one Supreme Court and the following subordinate courts. So we have Circuit Court, Debt Court, Monthly and Probate Courts, Magistrates Court, Justices of the Peace Court, Traffic Court, and Juvenile Court. So all these courts have jurisdictions. The Circuit Court, Trial Court of General Jurisdiction. The Debt Court is for debt limited to civil actions to obtain payment of debts. Monthly and Probate Court's jurisdiction limited to probate and related matters. Magistrate Court jurisdiction is limited to minor matters as set forth in this title known as the Justices of the Peace Court. Traffic Court jurisdiction is limited to cases involving infraction, violations of the vehicle and traffic law. And then Juvenile Court jurisdiction is limited to special proceedings involving children under the age of 18 years. So all the different courts got different things to do to address different issues that arise in the community.
My judiciary, okay, my blade, quibe, okay, my bear on the year, okay, same butcher. The judicial more one in both friendly, the women down. Supreme Court, women put it saying like regular wife friend. My Supreme Court, okay, could it say any judicial more. Wable koti okay or do coco wable you walk koti o wable to genji the banyumbo ma be agani then okay wable de judicial mo wable in koti ke you kubi albani wable in koti ke wajin za won poni ni wa yini ga nyana ga wa bi pie o ni okimo kodi bona wa mwe wa bia wa ni kodi yo ke so jike judicial mwe wa bide ma tu ya ke nji ma ga brain ni jinde judicial mwe omoyo chembo ka be do ni la bila ke na do bi wanyo ni ajege ma ga bia ke kompe.
So, ladies and gentlemen, finally, this brings us to the end of our discussion for this evening regarding Liberian democracy and its governance structure and information. The last thing that we want to say regarding the judiciary is that the president appoints 4 associate justices and 1 Supreme Court judge, which is the Chief Justice. So within the judicial system in the Supreme Court, you have the Chief Justice and 4 associate justices. And any 3 of the associate justices present during a term constitutes a quorum.
When Bobe Jinde debe anya chen jinde dabira gomnage bra tanke kwiye omo when Bobe ni chen mo jinde gomnage ke mue chuke wajina mwa ke pode nyo jingabe anya le kodi buamu be gomnage o twa sonkonge ke juke oyati jumbe gomnage ke okere ji pani nyo jebe o tu komna ji yake mo blessing ke wabe o gomna vrembe ni de judicial mo wadang chief justice of mo jese nyewe wania buo kwi yake wabe wa nyobo nye ni de wa kunye ke wabe nyobo nyobo mo ke mo chief justice ke mo just say mo mo apoyan say na ke wadang wa just mo apoyan ke o nyofe ma chief justice ke blessing ke omoyan ble pe be ke nyoni na chito ni ana nyo se chito ni nywe mo wa ni chi just ya pri ye ni wa mo ko tu wa mo ji ke wa pure wa bo mo te kan je mble ade judicial mo wa fi mo Supreme Court ke nge nyoro ye dero nyoni ni amon ko ti mu so ko ti ju ya mo ko ti of ama chi just ama just be wa dag ne mo manta o branchi tambe komna obria bola bro komna biyake audio sang kunya.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you so much for listening. We also want to say a big thank you to our guest for today, Elder Onesimus G.S. Gaiman. Yeah, and then also we like those of you who are listening to this program, the Dati Civic and Peace Education audiovisual series is played on local radio stations in Liberia or on Radio Avant FM 93.7 on Saturday at 10 a.m. and repeated on Wednesday at 9 p.m. And then also on Radio Phoenix FM 102.7 in Harper City, Sunday 9 p.m. and Friday 9 p.m. Pretty soon we will also be airing this program on Radio Paraclete of the Catholic Diocese of Banga. And we want to say thank you so much for Bishop Tony Boa, who has offered, to air the program there. It's important for us to educate the people of Liberia, for them to understand exactly who they are and to appreciate the upholding and observance of rule of law. We must follow the law, we must respect the law, and also we must exercise our franchise as citizens of Liberia. When it's time to vote, go and vote. You have the power to decide who should be your leader. And don't sell your votes for a bag of rice or for material things, because in the end, you are the one who suffers. When you get sick and there are no hospitals, you don't have the money to be airlifted to Ghana or Nigeria to get treatment. So your country is capable of doing that for you if you vote right. If you vote the right people in power, they will seek your interest. And if you find out that people are not seeking your interest, when the time comes when you have the power to decide whether they should stay or not. And more than likely, it's better for you to make sure that you get people who will serve you and not use you as if you stay with them. They are working for you. The people you elect them so they can work for you, not for them to insult you or to abuse you, but to respect you and to do what you want them to do. If you want schools, you must build the schools. If you want hospitals, you must build the hospitals. If you want roads, you must build the roads. If they don't do that, that's why we have terms. If they don't serve you the way they should serve you when the term ends, don't put them back. Because when you put them back, you are prolonging your own suffering. So a word to the wise is quite sufficient. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye for now. All right.
Okay.